Go. And that's good, that's good. I think that's it. Turn this down. I should turn it down. Okay. I'll put this up on my Discord. Or the Discord. Whatever. Anyways. There we go. All right. So it arrived. Here it is. It's the M2 Lite. This, I think it came over on Monday. Got this Monday, picked it up, set it up. Opened it up first, of course, because that's what I normally like to do. I like to open these things up, check out what's going on, see what's, what's new. And gonna do just pretty much a seasoning roast, and then the biggest thing I did though was making sure that I can connect HiBean to it via my Mac Mini tablet thingy. So we'll be hooking that up through here. Let me just make sure that works. I'll be mirroring it, so if that works. It's perfect. All right. Okay. Oh, camera's upside down. We'll flip it around later. But actually, yeah, flip it around later. So here's the old unit. This is the legacy unit. This is the unsealed M2. They used to sell with just tablet only. This actually doesn't even have the Artisan plug in the back, which is technically just the daughter board that they hook up to the M2 controller board. So it's nothing crazy. They just an option that they took off. They have a separate daughter board that they used to attach to there. So now we have the M2 Lite. It's a refresh of the sealed version. No longer are they doing the cool stuff with the wings, taking all that extra metal out, simplifying it to like a nicer looking, I wouldn't say nicer, but a simpler looking metal frame with lighter sheets of metal. But same great Kaleido drum and lamps and everything in the back is still pretty much the same. Only difference in terms of the drum is basically, I think it's a bigger drum size that they have in there, and they went from a brushless motor to a brush motor. So if we look behind here, top. We'll grab our little camera. Hopefully it'll reach. Sorry for the mess. There we go. I'll flip it over. All right, so this is the back of the M2 Lite. Everything pretty much from legacy wise. So this would be a legacy board. It's mostly the same layout and the same chip too. So if you look down here, you have the ESP32W-ROOM. Same thing over here. Same chip. If I were to remove that, actually, if we look over, oh, I can't reach over, but I have an M1 Lite that I peeled this off and it just says ESP32. So same chipset. Pretty much everything's practically the same. You notice here that used to, this is where, for the old version, this is where the tablet used to connect to. They had that in the M1 Lite and they moved it to a JST connector, probably to save some money. And then, but it still connects the same way. You still got ground on the left side, the 5-volt on the right, and then the 2 data pins, green and white, still are about the same. And then the only difference, this one didn't have the Artisan board. So this is what I mean by like the Artisan daughter board. And that plugs right in there. And that's what allows you to connect to Artisan. Like like a TTL connector. So technically, I guess it might have been a display connector or something like that too. So another big difference is a larger heatsink, which is important to kind of cool off the either it's a thyristor or SCR. But they had a small little one on here to help prevent like thermal runaway. But I think you can negate that with a larger heatsink. Then you got your little standard your AC stuff that connects to the lamps, tied into the board, and that controls this. Pretty much controls that to turn on and off those two lamps. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I think for the backside, they still got the same kind of dual fan setup. I think these are Delta. They're using these Delta, they're like server motors or server fans, cool off the beans in the back. Same kind of Deltas are used back here, although they've made it in a way to drop the drum down and pretty much just enclose the bottom part, so it's a little bit nicer and neater package to cool off the beans. Oh yeah, and then so we have brushless motor. So they were using a brushless motor before, and now they switched to a brushed. But they are also using just like a regular DC controlled fan, and they switched that to like a PWM fan. As you can tell right here, it connects to the back where it's a plus minus signal, and then I think that's RPM. I could be wrong. For here, it's when it's brushless, you have the PWM, which is usually the blue. They tie in direction, which is usually white. I think if it's not powered, it goes clockwise. It depends. And if it's powered, it goes clockwise, or not powered, it goes anti-clockwise for some. But then you still got your, your 12 volts coming out of here. And that's pretty much, they just swapped that. So right now, back then, the brushless motor connected to the bottom port over here, and then you have the like regular voltage controlled fan up there for their little Venturi exhaust system. They switched that over here, so now this is kind of controlled like PWM signal sent here to control the fan speed, while this one is controlled by just regular DC voltage change. So, lower the DC voltage, the slower the motor goes. If you get it to 12, that's like the max. 12 volts, that's like the max speed. That's basically the difference. You still got your what are those called? You still got your NTC probes right here that they still have there. And for some reason they have like an extra NTC probe here. I don't know what that's for. Maybe to monitor the heatsink if it gets too hot for some places, my guess. But other than that, a little bit of just changes of how the fan's aligned. This is aligned more down there. They still use like the same kind of coupler. And these are the run-of-the-mill couplers you could get out of like AliExpress. They're nothing fancy. They're not made of like vibranium or anything, just your standard coupler that you'll find on there. And they still use probably that same WX power supply. And you can get one that fits the Skywalker, which is what I did. So I have the kind of the same power supply unit in the back. I put in my Skywalker. So that's a little general rundown in the back of what's going on. The front, let me just get this in there. I'll just leave it down here because I think I'm gonna go to the front. All right. Okay. So now what you got here is the front of the M2 Lites. The legacy one had this. I kind of prefer this kind of easy mechanism to bring it up and down. I don't know if I prefer it because it has like a little nice wood accent, but the new M2 Lite is it's pretty simple. I mean, it just has this to open and close the chute to drop the beans in. You still got your standard trier. I think it's like 16 millimeter diameter, maybe 12, like maybe 14. I measured it one time. And then the bean chute still works pretty good, where you just open it up, everything should just fall in. There's magnets there, so it holds that in place. And then you gotta remember when you close it, it's like a double click. You click once and then twice for another one. to make sure that it's secure. Oh, yeah, not this one. Maybe that's just for the M1 Lite. Sometimes you close it here, the beans will still come out, so you got to make sure that you click it in. And then this is the build it yourself cooling bean cooler that they want you to do. You can do this in like 10 minutes. And then basically bean cooling is kind of the same setup. They just moved the fans a little bit back, but they created like they put what's it called? They put sheets around it, so you know you can suck in more of the air away from the beans to cool it down. We look at the top. And the panels are just simpler. You can just pull this up, take that off. You use like a I forgot what size this is, but I think this comes with some tools at work. I had to find my other hexes to work, but they do provide you with some of the tools. But you could take this one off too. If you really wanted to. Pull it off. There's a little bit of a cut on top. So of course, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make one out of walnut or maybe ebony. I have a CNC machine, so I'm gonna play around with that. But I'm probably gonna do like a ebony handle and an ebony piece right here. Because why not? And then there's like temperature probe. I think it's still NTC. Some people will say you got to move it back a little bit to get the quote unquote proper temperature. You know, because some people like it when their beans crack at like this predetermined temperature that, you know, Sweet Maria lists or something, but I use temperature as a guideline, so I don't really follow that. As long as the temperature first crack is consistent and things like yellowing and turnaround point occur at the same time and at the same temperature, then I'm okay. And they also, when you purchase your M2 Lite, make sure you open this up before asking where the sampler is, because a lot of the questions like, my sampler is missing. No, it's just literally in there. So make sure that you check that. I use my fingernail to open it up because they don't have the handle on there. You have to install that yourself too. This handle. Okay. So I'm gonna do a seasoning roast just to get the drum set up and everything. So I got 500 grams of the beans I'm gonna season. Buy seasoning beans or just find crappier beans that are super cheap. You just need to run a batch through to kind of clean out the system. I'm also using, I'll be using the iPad mini. We're using HiBean. And with that, you have to download, you first have to buy an ESP32S3, which I have connected in the back. So here's my setup. This is the, this is not gonna set up. I crimped this wire myself. You don't, I would pull it out, but I don't wanna mess with anything. But you need a Y splitter, ESP32S3. And this is just to connect HiBean to an Apple device or iOS device. You don't really need to do this if you have Android. So if you have Android and you have HiBean, you want to use it, you don't need to do that. You could do it by classic Bluetooth, but if you do have an iOS device, you're going to need the ESP32S3 to connect to HiBean. But it's all set up for you. You just got to buy one of these. They're about like $8, $11 versus paying $80 for a really crappy Android tablet. And I just have one of my portable power supplies I use. It needs 5 volts. And I think this one only outputs like 3.3 at this area, so it can't really power this. However, I think we're doing another firmware version where you can get the other ESP32 for like 15 bucks, but it comes with 2 ports where one is like the same like a USB-C port as here, that's for communications. The other one is like a USB port that you can connect to like a battery or another. You don't need the light splitter basically. It's just all in one board. I want to see if I have one here. Well, not this one. Oh wait, maybe this is it. Does have the double? No, it has the single. Those are just be. These are the same chipsets that are inside your ESP32, by the way. I don't have the one with the dual port, but you can get that one too, and then just message me and I see if I can get the firmware to you. All right. Oh, also have this. This is the SR900 that I'll probably be looking at later. Not gonna roast with this yet. I am going to do something with this that involves HiBean, so we'll see if that works. Anyways, let me get this streaming on here. Let me flip this camera over. Hey. All right, that's connected. Cool. Make sure everything works. Looking good. All right, all that looks good. Let's warm up this drum. I'm just gonna heat it up as fast as I can to about 200 degrees. Make sure you always have to set up your auto heating when it comes to HiBean. It's the same thing as setting on your SV and Artisan. Right, that's all set up. I'm gonna start a manual roast. We'll preheat.
Preheat flow. Power adjusted to 100%.
Nice quiet drum. I'm gonna flip this over so you get a little bit more of landscape instead of that portrait mode. I think it's what it's called. Hello, sorry. So while that warms up, oh, do I have anything in chat? No, we're good. Cool. I'll make this as quick as I can. I got some work later. So they say you could do 500 grams, so we'll do 500 grams of just these beans. The hopper is, I don't know. It's not as great as I'd like to be bigger, just like if it like 500 grams worth of beans in there, but I'll do. Okay. Drum is really quiet for now, so it's not too bad. Here's the back panel. The back panel, it's just 2 screws you need to take off here and then one on top. And I took off this one first, and this one kind of popped off in a weird way, but I was able to get it off. So that's just the back panel. While that's warming up, we'll talk about the few changes they made. Instead of using like these big M4 screws that they had, like on the M2 Pro or the M2 Legacy, they switched to these little pop rivets to hold some parts of the case together. So a little pop rivet here, about 3M pop rivets. I'll put there and there, all to the places that they're keeping the panels together. Yeah, so for the most part, the pop rivets, if you want to, if you're crazy enough, you can always just drill these out and then tap in your own like M3 or M4. I don't recommend it, but you know, it's your machine, you do what you want. So they still use the same plastic rivets to assemble this part. So this is just what, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 2, 4, 6 pop rivets, or yeah, pop rivets to install this. Takes about 10 minutes to build. It comes flat and you just assemble it yourself. They extended the length on the Venturi thing from the Legacy, from what I can tell. So this is a little bit longer, but still the same premise. It has air blowing into like a little tube that blows all. Okay. Reconnecting successful. All right, cool. So we'll leave it at like 200 degrees Celsius. We'll just kind of leave it there. Maybe we'll wait for the environmental temperature to catch up. I should mention that they also got rid of the handle for the M2 Lite, which I was kind of bummed out. I really like the handle, so when I have to carry it around. Although I don't recommend holding the handle after a roast because it's literally attached to the drum. So this gets super hot when you after roasting with it. But I do miss having this, being able to lift it up. I did open the drum to make sure there wasn't any plastic in there, but it kind of smells like there's some plastic burning inside. I think maybe that's just the oils, factory oils or something. Yeah, I don't hear anything like tumble around. Am I still frozen? This is not working? Did I freeze for a bit? I think I need to get a new PCI card, or sorry, what's it called? Ethernet card. Well, just let me know if I freeze again, then I could just go. No, we're good? Okay. No good? It's like, no, we're good, or no, not good. Sorry. Sorry. I was like, anyways, all right, we're gonna warm this up, heat it up for a little bit. Yeah, because everyone recommends that when you do your first roast on here, you got to make sure that you get all the nasty stuff out, all the factory oils out of there. I'm gonna turn on this. This is my Airwave OmniFlux. We're gonna turn that on just so I can suck out all the stuff that's gonna come out of here. So I have my beautiful setup. Good. We'll put that like right around there. I'm gonna have to 3D print something. I'm using like an old tripod that just like attaches to the ducting, and then just maybe I can move it a little bit. Let me see if I could rotate it just a little bit more. Move this out the way. Let me just get this out the way. The Legacy is freaking heavy, so you saw all my muscles. Yeah, you could do the HiBean with the Windows tablet, or Windows computer. It should work just fine. I know he doesn't. I know Will doesn't like his development environment is Windows or Mac, so that's why the Mac version is usually up to date in terms of Mac OS and iOS. Because the guy who programs all this stuff is that's the environment he develops in. But he tries his best to get the Windows stuff in there. So I know the Windows kind of is still in like a really rough state of beta, but the Mac stuff usually works well for HiBean or any of the iOS stuff and Apple stuff. I have a MacBook Air too that I have. Okay, that looks like it's been roasting for a bit. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna dump these beans in. We're just gonna roast, see how it goes. Let me set this up. Sorry for the screen. It broke. I tried replacing it, and then they said I have to replace the board. It looks like it's working again. I'm gonna lower this down. This is just a way for me to get all the bad smoke out and not have like a hot box in my garage. Mostly I'm using my tablet to run HiBean, but also use my phone when I'm getting lazy, if I'm roasting inside. My goal is hopefully to get HiBean onto here by helping out Will with that as well, trying to figure out how I could get that onto there. But they've been kind of strict. I think they have their own app they want people to use for the SR900. So we'll have to have plans for that later. But yeah, let's go ahead. We'll dump these beans in. Everything looks ready. So it's all steady. I am just gonna dump the beans in. And this is a seasoning roast slash, I'm just gonna run it at 100 at 500 grams and see what this bad boy could do, right? There's gotta be a better way. This thing sucks. I got my scooper around here. Let me find my scooper. I guess I have to use this thing. All right. God damn it. Let me get a cup. Still warming up. Oh my gosh. Funnel. Need to get a legit coffee funnel thing. All right, so I'm gonna switch things first. So I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna turn that on. Leave heater at 100%. And two forces joining together. This is part of my SR800. Is this still turning on and off to 200? There you go. Oh, that's right. I'll keep turning on and off so it maintains 200 degrees. So by setting it at the higher temperature, then I'll try reaching 230. I'm just gonna do that, just get it really hot, and then I'm gonna dump these in. Oh, this was a terrible idea. All right.
Automation
All right.
triggered. Set PID value to 220.0
Cool.
degrees.
So we're gonna keep it at 100 the whole time. We're gonna see what that looks like, but I'm gonna get the fan up to about 40. And you're just gonna see what this thing does at full heat. See how fast you get through 500 grams. And you know, these are supposed to be seasoning beans anyway, so I'll just heat it as high as I can, I figure. Drum noise is pretty good, not that loud at all. I don't think it'll work with fidget. It will work with HiBean will work with their little their brand of their little box that's cheaper than the fidget. It's like let me see if I have it. I have one somewhere, but they call it their Arc Pro. So, and I think they have a custom side where if you want to like add your own thermal probes wherever you want to, you could just purchase a regular thermocouple, hook it up to this HiBean Pro Arc box, and then it'll directly connect with HiBean. So that's the way I used to try doing it. Now I have an SR800, but it's it has the roast link on there, so everything's kind of like controlled by the computer, and all the info of the temperature flows into the either Artisan or HiBean. We are just going to send it at 100. Few things you should see, keeping at the kind of consistent temperature out of 100. With a convection unit, you're more than likely going to see a natural like decline over time. Where if you had a radiant heat roaster, if you kept on the same like 80% lamp, it would probably stay at that area. It kind of go wobble up and down to kind of remain. That's the way of heat transfer works a little bit different. But usually with the convection units, keeping at the same thing, you're gonna have like temperatures kind of remain decreasing ROR over time. Radiant heat's a little bit different. Let's see, we're at 160. It's 3 minutes, 500 grams. That's pretty good. 160. Some people default to yellowing phase. I have met a roaster in my area who just, like, when he wants to mark off dry end, he'll just say 160 if it passes it. But you should be opening your chire, looking at it, smelling. You'll usually smell like hay or maybe some grassy notes, but usually like a hay scent. Right now, the first part of the roasting process is like an endothermic reaction. So right now, all the heat's going into the beans. Well, it comes from the air, goes into the beans, starts to build up. And then eventually what you should see is the exothermic reaction at first crack happen. Well, when that occurs, I should actually hit the, and I can move that later. You should see like a little bit of rise in the ROR sometimes. But if you manage your heat right, like you manage your heat in a way that you can like not have that increase of ROR occur. But yeah, over time at 100%, you're gonna have a declining ROR, and that's just like the nature of convection and how it works. Or if I were to do like a Skywalker, you would see a plateau. $189, so right there, you can probably see that right when it raised, first crack is going to occur soon. There it is. Pop, pop, pop. Right here, first crack. I'm just going to keep it going. I'm gonna turn this off. I need to turn this up. This is not suck. Oh, you know what? I should turn the fan up too. All right, we're gonna drop it.
Automation triggered. Set fan speed to 100%. Cooling flow. Turn on cooling fan. Turn off heater.
All right, so that's a seasoning roast. Still hot. So that's one of the seasoning roasts I wanted to do. What time is it? 10:19. I think that'll be it. Heat should be off. Is it glowing in the front? I should check. Yep, looks good. Heat's off. Heat turns off automatically as soon as you hit drop. And you can set that in automations as well. Yeah, when you see 100, it doesn't really mean much until you hit the heater button. Then when you hit the heater turns on, and then you should see like it should start glowing in the front. Yeah. Yeah. So, I'll go on the front. You can see the heat is on. As soon as I hit that button, turns it right off. And what people usually do is they'll like to set up their heat, maybe at a drop. They do a little bit of a soak, and then they're like, all right, I'm gonna power on to heat it at 70, so the lamp goes directly at 70. Just the way people like to roast. They'll do a little soak in the beginning, like maybe they'll turn off the lamp, have the environment, the convection heat in there, kind of warm up the beans, and then once the beans get at a certain temperature, then they'll tag on the heater to turn it on and start the roasting process. I'll turn this fan off. Good. That's what I do. Yeah, some people like to do the soak in the beginning, like when you start the machine, you just drop the temperature, or even drop it to a lower, like 20% on the heater, and then sometime later, maybe after turning point, they'll kick it on for whatever reason. It just kind of depends on how the person wants to roast. A lot of people that are searching for those Nordic roasts, they're trying to go fast. They'll usually leave the lamp on and just kind of heat it. Get that heat hitting it hard. They have a higher density bean. Once that bean gets going, they're just trying to get through those phases. They're trying to get to that dry phase real fast. Then maybe they'll kind of taper off during the middle phases in terms of the heat. But usually what people are trying to do is just try to get out of that dry phase so they could go into the Maillard phase and where the development of different flavors occur. To get into those 10, 15% folks, they could really start tasting those different flavors. So this is cooling off. Let's see what ET is looking like. ET is looking like 160. I don't got time for another roast, but yeah, that's how I would roast using an iOS device and HiBean. Not keeping it at 100, of course. 100 is just kind of a test, and it's actually pretty impressive. I went through a whole roast in about 6 minutes and 30 seconds. About what minute 15 in the first crack. I'll get a blade, and let me see if I can open one up. I don't think I have my microscope here that's working. Maybe I'll have to upload a picture. So what I'll do is I need a cut mat. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I usually like cutting in the middle, trying to see what it is. I usually have a microscope set up, but I took it down recently. But I'll get a few of these beans. I'll cut them open and we'll see what the middle looks like. From what I could tell, I mean, it is a little bit lighter on the inside, but that's to be expected. We did roast it at an absurdly fast speed. I usually shoot for 9-minute roasts. Yeah, I usually find a sweet spot is like 9 minutes. I'm not usually shooting for those Nordic roasts, the really fast 8-minute ones. I usually get mine at like 9 minutes. Motor is still cool to touch, which is good. So it's probably like what, 50 degrees Celsius. It's warm, but it's not like burning hand hot. Yeah. So let's look at the roast. Then with HiBean, I kind of forgot to mark certain things. So if I wanted to, I would complete log, look through the roast and say, oh, look, dry end probably wasn't supposed to be there. So I'll just pull that back a little bit. So we'll go to the editing mode, and then I'm just going to say, all right, now I want to make sure I was actually at around 130, 150, 160 degrees Celsius is usually when I find, it's usually by the time dry end phase occurs. But everything else should be good. Heard the first crack here. Interestingly enough, if you follow the graph, let's see if I can make a video of it. We'll generate a roast video. And there's something you could do if you want to go along with your friends, trying to figure out how you did on a roast or what you could have done differently. It's fun kind of using the video generator. Okay. Let me switch real quick. That's an old one. Oh, it's today. Okay. Okay. So I'll go through this real quick. So if you could go through the roast like a video. So right now, you got it at 100. I didn't really move the heat till the end, so we'll just kind of look at it from that perspective. But we're going through the roast, you could tell. One thing that a lot of people don't know is like, even at 100% or whatever percent it is, the beans will naturally go on a declining ROR curve, right? This is kind of like a natural curve. There's dry end right here. Some people like to mark it at 160. I like to go by what the color looks like. I didn't use the trier though, or go by smell. You're pushing it through here. Typically people around this phase right now is like lowering heat. They're kind of extend out this phase to sometimes as long as they can without ruining like the heat momentum, right? They don't want to like get to the point where it kind of kills it out and then you can't even hear first crack when it reaches like 190. And then right here, so what happens here, and we have everything at 100% degree heat. So right here, this is when it goes from like an endothermic to like an exothermic reaction, right? So right here, the steam is getting released and then heat kicks in, and that heat is just coming off of the beans. And then usually around that time, you'll find first crack. That's if you leave it alone. If you're, say, managing your heat, like you want to like extend this out, you more than likely managing it like the way a lot of people do, you normally won't see the comeback. You normally won't see this part go back up, that little endothermic part. It kind of goes back, exothermic part, where that part starts to release more heat. So it droops a little bit. Beans a little bit colder, but now they're getting more heat. And that's kind of like when the first crack occurs. Normally though, if you're the people managing it, will either be managing the fan speed, trying to increase the fan to get all the hot air out, basically, is what they kind of use that for. It's like small changes, or they'll use the lamp for big changes to drop the temperature down so it has a declining ROR. Normally you wouldn't see that. But in this one, you'll see it just because it's we're doing it at one consistent heat percentage. But yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it's pretty cool. I mean, at 100%, you're reaching first crack by 6:15. Like for me, I'd probably want to extend it out to where I get first crack right around 8 minutes and then finish by 9. And that's just kind of like a preference thing. I find that most of the pour overs I like tend to work well with that kind of placement. But you know, you have to try different things to figure out what you like. So also one thing people kind of get hung up on when they look at this, or they'll look at like artisan and they'll see this is what normally sometimes you might see, or like unfiltered. So you'll see something like that. And you'll see that you're like, oh, it's not a declining RR, it's not working, blah blah blah. It's probably because your values weren't filtered. So when you start adding filters, things start looking cleaner. You can start seeing declines a little bit better. Like if I show you this before, you'd have been like, oh, I ruined my roast. Everything's flat. Everything's a flick and a crash. Everything's a flick and a crash. As long as you're trending down a downward selection, I think that's more important. You don't have to obsess about these kind of graphs, because it's just not filtered. It's not filtered, or it's not sampled appropriately. Not appropriately, but it's not sampled. You could get it sampled to the point, or filtered to the point where it looks like this. It looks nicer. So I try not to put too much emphasis on, like, if I go to Artisan, if I see this, I'm like, as long as I don't have wild fluctuations in the red graph, kind of want that graph to be a little bit more smooth, right? You don't want to see like a huge jump down or jump up, just a steady rise up kind of. So you rise in a slow kind of, not a plateau, but a curve, a little bit of a curve indicating the drop at the end. That's what you kind of would usually like to see. Then you can compare past roasts. We'll do a Skywalker one. I forgot to do this. Compare. Oh, that makes sense. Only logs from the same model can be compared. All right, so after that, you know, I don't know what this was, so I'm just gonna put seasoning beans so I don't confuse myself and be like, oh, what's this custom bean that you roasted? Seasoning. I'm gonna save that, put that here. I started at 500 or so, or whatever, and there you go. That should save right there. Exit. Look at your you can look at the past roast over here to the right. Logs, profiles, or you can even share. So if I wanted to share that roast, I would just pick it out. Hit here to the right, and then where's it go? Share at the bottom. I'll put seasoning. Empty light. Then share. Oh, what's the roast level? I guess medium. Probably light, actually. Whatever. $2,723 minutes. That's not a lot. That's just 47 kilograms on this account. Yeah. That's pretty much it. If you ever need to reconnect, you can go to device settings and then go to connection settings to refine whatever roaster SRS V6 is. Other automation stuff you could do, high drum protection if you want to keep the drum on while it cools down. I should actually open this up. That closes automatically. Okay, that's it. If you have any questions, or I'll have another roast with this again later, probably tomorrow, but I'll be working on the fresh roast next, in terms of getting it onto HiBean as well. See how it goes. This is going to take a little bit more finagling, as they want you to use their own special roast tech software, or roast tech, yeah, software app, whatever. But yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, concerns, or would like to see me roast something, drop a message. I'm just gonna throw these beans away, so nothing special. But yeah, M2 Lite. So far it's pretty cool, pretty solid machine. I did seasoning beans. It seemed fine. I'll probably try to do. If I have time, I'll try to do like a back-to-back roast series on it, like I did with this roaster over here. I did like 8 batches, and it took 3 hours, mostly because I was trying to stream at the same time. But I'll try to do another 3-hour streamathon with this. See how well it does with maybe like 5 kilograms of beans or whatever. See how long that'll take the roast that many back-to-back. Using I technically was using a batch protocol here, and for me that was just making sure the environmental temperature wasn't like at 230 degrees Celsius. This thing got super hot, so I had to drop it down, wait till it dropped down closer to 210, and then I would start a roast. Yeah, because 230, you could see that it was was not being consistent in terms of the graph. But yeah. That's it. You're gonna get anything else, but I'll post up the firmware for this on the description, and how you can install it yourself. I'll probably have to make the page. I think I have a few minutes before I need to leave to work, but we'll see. Anyways, thanks for joining. If this helped you, let me know. If you'd like to see more, let me know. You can find me on Discord mostly, or leave a message on YouTube. Anyways, thanks.